Air Force Chief of Staff General Charles C.Q. Brown says talks are ongoing with Navy Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Michael Gilday about collaborating on the Joint All-Domain Command and Control Network. Breaking defense reports, Brown says he's open to developing a memorandum of understanding with the Navy, similar to one the Air Force has with the Army. Deborah Lee James is the 23rd Secretary of the Air Force. Madam Secretary, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here, Francis.
You are also author of the book Aim High, Chart Your Course and Find Success. What does the collaboration look like, do you think, between the Air Force and the Navy on JADC2? Is it as simple as replicating what the Navy and the Air Force have done?
Well, nothing is ever quite that simple, Francis. So for one thing, I do think it would be important to get something in writing from the Chief of Naval Operations in collaboration with the Air Force and even with the Army. General Milley, of course, has designated this as a major effort and put the Air Force in charge of it. But the Pentagon is driven by paper, and so to have that MOU, I think, would help, particularly as you start working at lower levels and they start questioning, well, are my senior leaders really behind this effort or not? So that paper is important. And I think then if we get that, and if the Navy is prepared to commit some time and some resources, that is when they can, in a more fulsome way, start participating in some of these on-ramp demonstration experimentation programs where the Army and the Air Force have been collaborating fairly well thus far.
Each of the organizations, each of the branches has had its own effort in this area going for a while. And as you say, General Milley has decided Advanced Battle Management System in the Air Force is going to be where all of these systems come together. What will that look like ultimately? What still is to happen between now and then before we get to what General McConville talked about on this program a couple of weeks ago, and others have said, you know, all shooters having access to all information?
Right. Well, it is a big effort, and it's easier to talk about it than it is to actually demonstrate it and do it and make it work consistently. So the ABMS program is, you think of it as a foundation. Every system needs a foundation upon which the rest will be built. And the ABMS system will be, in effect, a military Internet of Things, which then presumably some of the technologies and the capabilities and the C2 systems that each of the military services have worked on for years can then be plugged into. But the key is that it has to all work together in a seamless way. And to get from here to there, you can't swallow the ocean all in one gulp. You have to do these demonstration programs and take it step by step. So that is currently what the team is working on over at the Pentagon.
I forgive you if you're biased toward the Air Force and the work that they've done on ABMS, but why is that the right place for, why is the Air Force the right place to be kind of overseeing this framework that the other services are coming into?
Well, I would say, first of all, that command and control in general has been one of the core missions of the Air Force since the Air Force separated from the Army in the year 1947. So it's kind of in the DNA of the Air Force. It is what the Air Force has done for many, many years. So that's point one. Point two is I give great credit to General Goldfein and subsequently to General Brown. So Goldfein originally had this vision. He proselytized. He was like an evangelist across the department, convincing others, and he put his money, our money, the Air Force money, where his mouth was, to say we will commit resources, we will commit the time and energy and leadership to make this happen. No one else had stepped up in such a way to build that foundation. And again, the foundation is step one.
One of the things that is striking to me is you talking about General Goldfein, and you're right, he was an advocate for this when people thought this was a pie-in-the-sky idea. It's now coming to fruition, and it strikes me that because of the time that has been devoted to this, this is not something that's likely to disappear as a result of changes of administration. Obviously, it's not going anywhere as a result of changes in the Chief of Staff at the Air Force. This is something that for organizations, as you mentioned at the lower levels, that wonder, is the command of this branch committed to this? Everybody's committed to this, it appears.
I mean, I would certainly say so. That's correct. I don't think this is going to go away with a change of administration. I think this is here to stay because there is recognition that in the information age and in a complex world in which our potential adversaries have watched us operate for 25 years, they've largely got us figured out, and they have developed ways to interfere with us across the military services as well as across all domains. So how do we counter that? And one of the ways that we think we can counter that is to harness the value of a common operating picture and this joint command and control system, which would give us speed for decision making. It would allow decision makers to figure out how to attack an adversary, do it fast, and wreak confusion. So if the enemy doesn't know where you're coming from and then boom, you hit them before they even know it's coming, that's a tremendous advantage. So I do think the system will be here to stay.
We just have a couple of minutes left, Madam Secretary. I spoke to a Navy leader not too long ago, and unprovoked said, what is your top priority regarding data and the exchange of information? And he said to me, JADC2, named it without me giving him any prompting. Do you take heart in that maybe some of the hesitations the Navy's had in the past might be going away finally?
Well, I do take heart in that, and I think if Admiral Gilday was that clear about it, then surely it won't be that difficult to get the MOU written. And again, not to make that the be-all and end-all, and I certainly believe Admiral Gilday's words, but when you filter 10 levels down within the Navy, not everybody gets the message. So if there's a piece of paper to prove that Admiral Gilday is willing to go with this, willing to commit resources, willing to participate in these experimentations, and very importantly, willing to amend or change in some way the Navy's command and control system to compromise for the sake of the joint system, that goes a long way.
Madam Secretary, thank you very much. Great to have you on as always.
Thank you, Francis.